Hi, welcome back. I'm going to be talking about something a little bit different this time, and that may go into a series, it may not. Going to talk about my daughter and how she has autism and how hard she works and how incredible she is, and a little bit of background history on how we came to terms with it, what we've been going through, and I'm hoping that it helps other mothers in the same predicament. This is not something that I've verbalized or talked about at all before. Unless you're close to me, most people don't know. And if you are close to me, you've heard this a million times. And I am now getting more comfortable talking about it. And with the results I got from the ancestry and how much outreach I had, and how many people came to me with similar situations and how hard it was for them, this is just another step of another journey in our life, and another thing that kind of makes us who we are and why we do things a certain way. She was it was known to us in pre-K that there was something going on. Previous daycares didn't really tell us that she was acting out or that she had issues, or not really issues, but that they were having complications with care due to the fact that we were in low-grade areas and the communication was not there. When she went to enroll in pre-K and moved daycares is when a lot of the outbursts really started showing, as far as documentation with us and actually with a school that wanted to actually communicate. So I don't know how long it had been going on. We also had separate schedules at the time. We worked different jobs. We didn't work together, and it was really hard for us to pay attention to those cues or really understand that she was having a hard time. It would be in passing where I would work nights, Dad would work days, and we just went through the motions, and we just survived. And that's really what it was. When we moved to a better area, we were still in a rent house before buying our house, and the cool thing was the daycare was literally on the corner, and then the elementary school was across the street from our house, and it was really, really great, and we enjoyed it, just being there, being convenient as it is. So the first time I got called into the office at the daycare, and this is prior to her starting pre-K, when I got called into the office, they sat me down and they showed me a video. In about 10 minutes, she had pretty much destroyed an entire classroom. And now she gets embarrassed about these outbursts. She gets very embarrassed, and sometimes it gets a little bit more escalated. It really just depends on circumstance and what's going on. So I cried hard. I couldn't even, it was as if I was on a reality show, and I felt like I was being pranked. I couldn't believe that was her. I'd never seen it, and I'd never experienced it, and I could not believe it was her. So being any mom, full panic mode, freaking out, oh my God, I didn't even have a good response. And when that happened, I was like, please, because we just started with this daycare, I was like, please give us a chance. I couldn't afford to move daycares again. I couldn't afford it. I had no way around it. I couldn't lose my job. I was panicking. So I immediately rolled her into play therapy and got in touch with a psychologist, and she did pretty well with them. And so we started that process, and she's been with it for several years, and we kind of drop off for a little bit and go back into it. But it's been implemented for a while, and we really work hard with this because it's just the known, not knowing what to do and how to handle it. So after that, she obviously started attending pre-K. Due to AJ being ex-military and a veteran, we were able to implement her in pre-K, and I'm very thankful that we did, because we found out so much more information that we had no idea was going on. So she started going to pre-K. Phone calls, emails, everything during work is coming in. And she did this, she did that. The teacher actually, I feel like the teacher did her best, but at the same time, her expectations for a 5-year-old were extremely high, and I don't feel like it was fair for any of the children, but that is my opinion on it. I'm not a teacher. This is my opinion as a parent and how I feel about that. And I'm not going to disclose, just like previous videos, I don't disclose information or do anything for privacy reasons like that. So from running around libraries to just full meltdowns, and it was interesting to me because the teacher would email me the exact scenario and I knew exactly what had set her off. And so her expectancy for compliance was really high for a 5-year-old as well. And I understand, and most of the children complied. For her, it was different, and she could not comply. It is literally not even remotely possible for her to comply, especially at that age. She didn't know how to handle it. She didn't know what to do. So when I kept getting the emails, they had recommended us go through testing for disabilities. So I was like, okay, let's find out what's going on. I'm all for trying to find out what's going on and figure out how we can help her. So we start testing. Obviously, it takes months to do this. A lot of testing, a lot of pulling stuff out as far as pulling her out of class, doing a lot of things. There's a lot to it. I received a little bit of information from the case manager and stuff like that. And I found that there were things that they were supposed to implement. And as parents, we have rights as well. And they wanted to pretty much stick her in PPCD and not deal with her. And the child I knew and know, it didn't make sense. It didn't even sound like it was her. So I can't imagine how she was being treated at that time. There's a cool down room that she was stuck. I have 11 counts on emails alone that are saved where she was stuck in a cool down room for hours on end. Several hours, and sitting multiple times, kicking, screaming, and throwing a huge fit until she would comply. One, I don't see any child complying with that. I don't see any child being stuck in a room, being able to deal with that. I just don't. And the hard part about that is getting the emails and not understanding what to do. You're a first-time parent putting your child into daycare, first time doing any of that, or not daycare, but into a public school. So I didn't know what to expect. And I wish at the time I had done more research and knew what my rights were and knew what our rights were as parents and her rights and how she should have been protected. So we go to the ARD meeting. I had rescheduled because I didn't like the way she was continuously being treated, especially after finding out the diagnosis per se. So when they continued with the emails and didn't try to change how they were handling her in any way, shape, or form, they expected her to comply. If she didn't comply, she was punished. And that's exactly how they handled it. And it's verbatim in several emails. One of the emails, the teacher stated that she did not have time to chase my child around. And that is how she verbalized. It was almost as if our roles were reversed, where I was the teacher showing respect and concern, where she was very demanding, and expectations were extremely high for her to behave like the others. There was no room for error, and in my opinion, as I don't understand why that teacher would still be in place in education or even over such a small young group who is so impressionable. And that bothered me a lot. So everything in my gut, everything as a parent, everything was telling me after going to that ARD, which I tried to table and I tried to reverse and just completely dismiss, they would not allow that. You had to go to the ARD, you had to go to the meeting. I felt as if we were talked at. We were not given the explanations for the terms, or it was very vague if we did ask questions. And any parent going through this and going into those ARD meetings, it's very scary, and it's very hard to, one, hear this about your own child. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear that that's being said, or this is, where your child is developmentally, or nothing is wrong. Nothing can be wrong. And that's a lot of parent mentalities. And I for one, am one of them. I didn't want anything wrong with her. I didn't want anything wrong with anyone, really. And that's not saying that autism is wrong. That's saying that, you know, there's challenges that she's going to face. Big challenges, small challenges. And that was hard to hear. During this ARD meeting, I had denied services. They wanted me to make a decision on the spot. I was not allowed the 5 days that they didn't even mention 5 days as being an option. So I denied services. Everything was telling me in my gut to deny services because I did not trust what they were saying. They wanted her to hold ropes. They were relapsing her, and I knew what she was capable as a child. I knew she was capable of certain things, and I knew that these things were not okay. They wanted to just stick her in a class and not deal with her and not work with her on improving her behavior or, you know, learning those mechanisms to comply. So I denied services. The closing manager came into it. I don't know exactly her title or what the case was. She started asking questions. She's like, okay, did y'all talk about this? And I was like, oh no, they didn't talk about it. And one of the other teachers said, oh, she denied services. I don't have to talk about it. And I was like, well, what if that was a determining factor for me what if that changed my mind? And what if that changed my mind and I could have accepted these services? What are you talking about? And she's like, I can't disclose anything else. You declined services. And I was like, what if that changed? What if that changed what was going on? And I was so frustrated and I was so angry and I was so mad. I was pissed. And so I pretty much told him to shove it. I did not use foul language, but I pretty much told him to shove it. And I did not go forward with services. She had to stay with the same teacher. I knew that we were moving at the end of that year. I knew. So I grit and bear it, and unfortunately she went back to K9, which is a cool down room, multiple times. My biggest concern is, as teachers and as human beings, why would you continue to hold those expectations and treat her so poorly after knowing it's something she can't control? That just blew my mind. We moved schools. She's going into kindergarten at this point. Now, in my head, she has a fresh start. It's a new school, it's a new home. I can work with her, we can figure this out. It was constant battles and constant lectures and talking. And she doesn't want to talk, and I don't want to talk, and I'm exhausted. Every day was picking her up from kindergarten and saying, hey, why did you do this today? Why did you do, okay, we could have done this and we could have done that. It was holding a conference with my child almost daily, and it was exhausting. And I didn't have much mental capacity left at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, eat dinner, go to bed. And I hate to say it, but there wasn't room for play. There wasn't room for really that deeper connection. And I had such a hard time connecting with my daughter because I felt like I was constantly correcting and trying to fight who she was, who she is. I have not set the best example. I have not. I have not made all the right choices. I made the choices I felt were right for my daughter, and I still stand behind them not moving forward with this previous school because I knew it was wrong. I could feel that it was wrong. So kindergarten was a struggle, but she did. There were not meltdowns to the point where she was hurting others or hurting herself anymore, but there were still a lot of meltdowns. And the more we push and the more not necessarily push, the more we worked with her, it was so hard. And then first grade wasn't any better. And of course, COVID hit in first grade. What led me to go forward with testing and accepting the diagnosis was she had had a good day. She went to get on the bus. She blew a strawberry, sticking her tongue out at another student. And one of the teachers was like, oh no, give me your folder. You're losing your good mark for the day. Do I think that was necessary? No. The kids are excited. They're ready to go home. All they want to do is go home. It's not even a big deal. And for her to give her a mark for that, I felt was really unnecessary. But looking back now, and of course I backed up the teachers. I ended up having to go to the school and pick her up. I didn't even get to pick her off the bus. I had to go and pick her up because she would not comply. She wouldn't get on the bus. So I go into the office and the principal's there and her teacher, and I'm talking to her, and we're we're just having a conversation, and that even the teachers were, and the principal was surprised at the way I had a conversation with her. I talk to her just like I'm talking to you right now, or any other adult. I treat her with respect, and I just have a conversation with her, and I try to help her understand at her level, but also show her that respect. They couldn't believe that I even spoke to her that way, and that she was able to hold a conversation like that. It just blew their minds. And I was like, this is the child I deal with. But keep in mind, these are the lectures I go through every single day. I opened the folder and I'm just, oh my God, please be a stamp. Please be a stamp. Please don't be words. Please don't be words. I don't want words. She didn't want words. She was scared of words. I was scared of words. And I mean, that's the communication that there was, and that's the notes back and forth between us and the teachers. And the reason we went forward with testing, and it sucks because she never went back to school after that. They were out due to COVID, and so we didn't even get to implement as quickly as we wanted to, or she didn't even get a chance. And that teacher ended up retiring, which was really sad as well, because I mean, that's one way to remember a class forever. Is the last class you didn't even get to finish with, and that made us really sad, and made my daughter really sad as well. She so we ended up doing the art over Zoom, and I did a lot of research. I've listened to books. I have a better understanding of the expectations. I did research as in and knew facts that I probably shouldn't have even known as a parent. And I took every resource that I could, and every contact that I could, still under the radar, still not really verbalizing that this is what I was doing, and this is what I've been facing for years on end, that we were going through this. So now we have things implemented. Say her triggers are heat. So if she gets too hot, it is automatic meltdown. So we have cool down rags, and we keep them with us. We have several in vehicles. We have them at the house. She has one that attaches to her backpack. She's allowed access to it at any time during school now. Just little things that are implemented, like headphones, so it doesn't get too noisy. There is ray protection glasses that help with the UV rays, and it actually cleared up her vision quite a bit because she did have a blur. And anybody who's researched autism, their vision is impaired in certain ways. Hearing is tenfold in certain ways as well. So there's a lot of different things on that. So we have taken steps. There's more to it as well. I'm gonna go ahead and cut out this video because I'm already almost 20 minutes into it. There's a lot more into this than, this is just a brief overview of how big of a struggle this has been, and how we're growing, and how accepting these terms and accepting who she is has been life-changing. And it took me letting go of my pride, me accepting who she is, and understanding that she's not being defiant. This is something out of her control. It is highly annoying. It is highly frustrating. And it has taken so much mental capacity to handle this in any way, shape, or form. Not only with everything else that we have on our plates and everything else that we have to do. This has been something that has been a challenge for a long time, but now that we have accepted, it has changed everything. We have things implemented that make her day easier. I was not ready to talk about this before. Just like I suffered in silence with the ancestry journey that I've done. That is still to be determined on where that's gonna go. However, I am thankful for the tasks or the hurdles I've had to jump over this last year. It has been by far the hardest, but the most rewarding and the most self-centering and growth that I could say I've ever experienced. I am doing these videos now because it makes me feel better, and I know it's gonna help someone else. I know somebody else has to be going through what I'm going through. Somebody else has to be doing something or experiencing something. So I'm hoping that my tribulations and how hard we've worked can help somebody else get through this and understand that this is okay, and that these children are brilliant and surprising and loving, and just, there's a lot more to it, and I'm going to go through that with another video. But I'm getting to know my daughter for the first time. I have cared for her, I've taken care of her. I can't say that I've made every choice right. I can't say that I've done everything right, but it is awesome to get to know who she is and finally have that connection and finally understand her in a way. And the relationship that I'm building with her is really incredible to me. And I'm hoping that I can help those other parents that are going through the same thing and don't even realize it. I'm hoping that I can help someone else along the way. And also, how cool is it to show her these later and kind of have that history and her see, you know, how much it took to really help her. Because I know she's going to comprehend this one day. She's very smart. She's very savvy with school. Thank God she's good at math, because I am not. However, there are so many things that she comprehends, and I'm gonna post some other videos that she does, like cooking videos and fun things that she does, where her personality just comes out, and she's a different kid. And when the screen's on and like the video's going, she just gets into this little persona, and it's kind of her escape, and she is who she is. And I'm excited for everybody to kind of see this and experience it, and I'm hoping that it will shine light to what she is able to do. It is not all disabling. It's if anything, there's enabling in other areas. So thank you for watching this. I know this was a long video, and I guess people are getting to know me a lot more than I expected, and I found that this was the best way for me to be comfortable and really release and let this out and really come into terms with my own life and who I am and who she is and how we all tick, and who knows what connections this is going to make as well. Yeah, God moves in mysterious ways, and I'm excited to do this. So thank you very much again for watching. Y'all have a great day. Bye.